Okay.
Good. Call this special meeting order Thursday, March 26, 2020 at 5 p.m. Roll call, please.
Anderson,
Here.
Deline,
Here.
Boone,
Here.
Doden,
Here.
Schott,
Here.
Kane,
Here.
Swigan.
Here.
All members are present. Agenda was sent out yesterday. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Doden moves to adopt the agenda.
Boone second.
Motion by Doden, seconded to adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted. First item, visitors to be heard. Mr. Merriman.
Just a couple questions.
Oh, 1 second. Steve, Lonnie Merriman is here to speak as a visitor. Okay.
Every morning I have these guys that come in for coffee. I mean, the bar's not open, just while I'm cleaning everything, and they don't know that, and they supply the coffee. All I do is give them a 30 minutes, sit and visit. And there used to be 12, 14, but a lot of them are staying home now. So there's 6 to 8 guys that come in the morning and bring their own cookies and I still do. I mean, they're not going to be open, but they want a place to have their coffee and visit. I don't know. This is the back room. It's not in the bar part. I mean, they don't sit next to each other. They just want to know if they can still come and drink their coffee in the morning. There's no more than 10 anymore. I get about 6 to 8. I used to get 12, 14, but a lot of the older guys are 7, 8. They're staying home because they're open. So I just see if I can still do that. They wanted to know, so I said, well, I'll come down and ask. And then one other thing I see, you got indoor golf ranges. I don't want to have the golf open, but I got a pretty big league, 52 teams and or 26 teams. But there's a couple of them that aren't done. They got next week to golf. I just wondering if it's 2-man teams, if I can let them in. If they call me, just let 2 guys go in and finish their league and then leave. You know, they'll be there half an hour. And only be 2 guys. The bar won't be open. Just let them finish their league. They got a lot of prize money they put at the end of the beginning of the year to split up between them whoever wins it. So, it won't be open because the bar's going to be closed on the re-carpet and re-tile and stuff. So, but they just want to know if they can finish their league. They got about 1 week left. So, but not be open. It's not open to the public. The bar's not going to be open. I'm just curious if I could get by doing that or not. And they wanted to know, so I said, well, come down and ask.
I don't know. I guess if it's only 2 people for a half an hour,
Yeah, it takes 2 people about 35 minutes to golf 9 holes, and we only got, a couple of them got 2 weeks, but they said they golf 18 in an hour to get done. Most of them only got 9 holes to go. So, I'm not gonna have the bar open, the front's not gonna be open, they'll come in and golf, and they'll take the clubs and leave to go golf at the real golf course, because they'll be out of there.
what do you think? I think is that okay? I mean, legally, or
That's totally up to, you haven't adopted an ordinance that would stop any of it yet. So, that's purely up to the council if you wanted, as the ordinance is drafted, no. But that is, you haven't passed an ordinance. So if you're okay with that, we can try and modify it.
They're only like, well, they'd be done by next week. It's not gonna be every day, it's just when they can come in, they're gonna call me, I can come in at 2 in the afternoon and golf. Will you open up for us? Just have them golf, and then they'll take their clubs off and leave. It's just not, so it's not gonna be like people, they're just a team that's golfing, so. But it's up to you, if you don't want to do it, I'll just tell them that's tough, they can't do it, but I told them I'd come down and ask them.
I kind of agree a little bit with you, as long as it's legal, maybe now that you guys got another idea.
As the ordinance is drafted that we intended to adopt tonight.
Well, I don't know if you intended to adopt it or not. That's
Well,
purely the
discussion
council.
we'll be having.
Correct.
Where would or wouldn't that fall in here?
Well,
That's number 4, it says indoor golf ranges.
yeah, but
It says that it has.
I think the,
Open to public. We're
Yeah, but I'm not
talking
gonna
about
get-
something very
I'm
close.
not gonna have people come in and
Yeah,
open
I
golf.
just-
It's just the guys that finish their league.
Right.
so the unique part of Lonnie's, their classics, is that they're a licensed alcohol place. And it's closed to on-site, on-sale patrons. So, are they they're not there consuming, they're not gathering, so, he's not having on-sale, not open to the public, he's not having on-sale patrons.
You're gonna have people there working though, right? You're gonna be
They're
doing,
just gonna call me when.
no, I mean,
When they're doing
construction work, whatever you're doing there,
Who might be doing that?
Well, I might, but that'd be in the front door, bar with the door closed, you know, they got two
right, but
separate
I mean,
rooms.
are you having people do that?
Myself.
Oh, you're
I
doing,
don't have any contractors hired.
oh,
We're ripping the carpet up and, well, the only contractors, when I put the carpet down, they're not coming until the 15th of the month to lay the carpet, Thornton.
I think his point is the carpet guy shows up with 2 employees, there's gonna be 3 people in there laying the carpet, working very closely together.
Well, they're not, the golf will be over by the end, they're not coming till the 15th.
No, it's,
what we were getting at is, I think.
yeah,
I think when it's talking about indoor golf ranges, maybe I'm talking out of turn here. I think they're talking like the Great Shots thing in Sioux Falls or big ones. I think if,
If you listen to social media, perhaps. I mean, there's great shots, I don't know if that's indoor or outdoor, because you're open air,
Yeah.
half of both.
Yeah.
But there are indoor golf ranges in Sioux Falls, out at the Sanford Pentagon, for example. There's the Golf Academy, it's all indoors.
Well, they have golf addiction, they got 10 screens, they can play for 40 people. And that's
well, is there any chance they can make it in tomorrow and this
There's
doesn't go into effect
people in the
until
golf
tomorrow?
tonight, and there's some teams coming in tomorrow.
Oh,
So, I mean, I'm gonna have a lot, of the 26 teams, there might be maybe 10 left to finish, maybe out of the 26, most of them are getting done today. Some of them are already done, but I got 4 teams coming in tonight to golf, 2 of them are golfing 18 to get done. And then tomorrow I got, I'll tell you who wanted to golf, it's
can
18,
you,
it's
can,
John Sorensen, Nick Halverson, and Nick's brother, and them 4 got 18 holes of golf, and they wanted to come in maybe Sunday and finish up. So that'd be 4 guys at one time, they'd be done and out, you know. And then there's a couple other teams, I got 9 holes of golf that come in sometime next week. They just call me and I'd open up for them, let them golf, and then lock back up again when they're done. Like I said, if you don't want me to do it, I'll just tell them we can't do it, and we'll figure out how to determine the champion some other way, but. I just told them I'd come down
further
there.
on, finish it, and be, as long as it's not more than you and 2
No,
guys
there
at
won't be
a time.
anybody else in.
how about if you call them and tell them it needs to be done by Saturday?
I was just gonna say, what's the significance with Friday's date? Is it something we could move it to Sunday and tell them they've gotta be done by Sunday?
Well, everybody knows, like, I was gonna close Friday anyway before I even heard about this.
Could
And just to be, because I wanted to do the front anyway, so.
can we extend this to 11:59 AM on Saturday morning and they can just they gotta come Saturday morning if they wanna do it?
Yeah, I can call the teams you got left and just try to get tomorrow on
You can
Saturday.
do whatever you want, I mean,
If the council adopts an ordinance, number 4 could have a different time, which covers just indoor recreation, has nothing to do with
The bars,
restaurants,
you know.
bars, nothing like that.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not going to the bar, that's locked
So
up.
your request preferably would be to have through Sunday evening to get some done.
Yeah, I should be able to, I'll just call everybody that's got left and say, hey, you got till Sunday night to get done, or whatever.
If the council adopts an ordinance, and if they agree to adjust time on number 4.
Yeah.
Because number 2 refers to the on-site food and booze.
Right.
Number 4 is recreation stuff.
Right.
you got a mix, well, a lot of them, Lonnie.
What's that?
You got a little bit of a mix in the different versions here.
If we were to change the date on number 4, that would
You can make that effective at 11:59 PM on Sunday, March 29th.
and we would be. it
That's
would
written
all
through
fall-
Sunday.
I still have the bar closed there, man, just let them guys, so they can come
The
in.
bar part would have to remain closed after
Right.
tomorrow
Right.
at midnight.
That will be, I mean,
Yeah.
because this is in the back, it's separate from, there's no bar back there anyway, so I mean, it's.
I think that sounds good.
I'll just call the people I got left and say, if you wanna finish league and have a chance to win the cup, you gotta be done by Sunday night.
And if you could schedule them so there's only one team in there at a
They
time,
can only,
1 or 2 teams.
that's they only golf 4 people at a time.
Oh,
And I'll just, if there's back-to-back people, I'll just keep the other people out until the other people leave. But most of the time, it's only 2 people golfing, so.
I'm okay with that, if everybody else is.
I'm fine with that.
So we would change.
We're gonna do it.
I'll go second. Steve, any comment?
Not on the golf, coffee part, I think, I don't know what you want to do with that. We also have Patty's across the street. There's a group of women sometimes, and, well, so, I'm gonna, I chose not to go, because I wanted to stay my distance, but that would be up to the group, I guess, whatever the council goes with, I'll go with. But in terms of golf, I would say if you can get it done by Sunday, I would support that.
Perfect.
I guess, in my opinion, the coffee thing, if we're gonna close it, I think it's gotta be closed. If the ordinance, if we pass the ordinance.
Okay, that's fine, I'll
If
just tell them that. I mean,
if they're down to 6
that's why I
members,
think-
they
that's
can
why
do it
I
at their
came down.
house if they want to, right? I mean, we can't control that.
Well, the other thing that has been discussed, and I'll just tell you that the city attorneys throughout the state on this issue for the last 3 days, because every city is in the same boat. The general discussion has been places such as Jet has a group of guys that come to coffee there every morning. They're going to have to quit theirs. Casey's had a group. They've already shut theirs down voluntarily. I mean, I was like picking on Lonnie.
No, I'll tell them, I just said I'd come down there and ask.
Yeah.
I'll just tell them that they'll come tomorrow for coffee and I'll say this is it. You can't, Saturday you won't be able to come down there. It doesn't bother me any, I just don't have to come down that early anymore. I'm gonna sign up, like, kinda glad you said no, but I don't have to get up so early anymore. I should get to having coffee maybe by 9 in the morning, so. So that's fine, but.
Well, it's.
Okay, I'll do that if that's all right with you guys in the golf, I'll just tell them they gotta be done Sunday.
Well, we haven't passed.
Sam, we'll let you know though, if you want to stick around, you stick around.
I just, you got my cell number,
Yeah.
just call me.
No, but just so you
Some of the
guys,
golfers are down there right now, and I'll just.
just so you folks know, Lonnie's been very cooperative and
Thank
good to work with in this process. He was.
Thanks, Lonnie.
Thanks, guys.
Good about that, so.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Sorry, everything's gotta go this way, but we gotta do what we gotta do. So,
That's right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
The visitors, any visitors online? Next item, new business, consider ordinance 2020-01, emergency ordinance to address public health crisis by implementing certain measures which have been deemed necessary to slow the community spread of the coronavirus COVID-19. In your packet, there's one draft of an ordinance.
So, if I may, Mr. Mayor, the ordinance that's before you in draft form is one that has been shared and tweaked and discussed throughout the state. Most of this, I shouldn't say most, several of the cities have gone with the full closure approach. Rapid City, for example, was maybe one of the first, if not the first, to say all bars and restaurants, etc., are closed, except for the takeout, drive-up, drive-through type arrangements. Others have been a little more conservative in their approach. This afternoon, the city of Sioux Falls adopted a no more than 10 patron rule for these types of facilities.
That was their Department of Health. It goes to council there now.
Well,
They have to approve it, correct?
correct, and I think that's safe to assume that's where it's headed. What the city of Sioux Falls has raised a concern, they don't know that they have the authority to do that. There's disagreement amongst the city attorneys throughout the state as to whether or not, just how much authority they have. Just so you know, SDCL 932.1 says that, and this is the entire statute, every municipality shall have power to do what may be necessary or expedient for the promotion of health or the suppression of disease. That's very broad, in my opinion. The concern would be that if a private business came and said, you adopted this emergency ordinance, as a result of the adoption of this ordinance, you cost my business X number of dollars a month. It was an illegal act by the city. It amounts to taking of my property. I want to be reimbursed for that loss that I've incurred as a direct result of the city's action, which is illegal. You won't have insurance coverage for that type of claim. You probably would have insurance defense if someone sued you. Now, that's a worst case scenario, which I need to advise you of before you adopt something like this, that someone's going to challenge you. I can tell you the people that I've talked to as part of this, because Mayor and Jerry and Elaine and I had a discussion yesterday as this was being drafted, that it was appropriate to have the conversation with people that might be affected. Lonnie was, again, he was on board with things. Jeff Nielsen has 2 convenience stores which have casinos within them. He and I had a long discussion yesterday about that, he says, is the casino part and parcel with my convenience store, because my convenience store is accepted from the closure rules. Ultimately, I told him I didn't think so. And he emailed me back today, said, I'm not coming. Whatever decision that this council makes, I'll support. We need to get everybody healthy. So he knows that I think in his facilities, casinos are probably fairly profitable. The other thing is the ordinances allow the city to enforce it within the city limits and within 1 mile. So the city has jurisdiction within 1 mile of the city limits. My bar, although it's not a city liquor facility under the city license, they would still fall under the police powers of the city. I spoke with Dale Larson. He thought perhaps Shelley Landine was going to come down tonight, but I've been told and understand that they have closed pending further notice as a result of the coronavirus issue as well. So, I mean, I think the businesses are being cooperative and understanding of what you folks are facing. So, again, the ordinance is drafted would just prohibit them from doing anything but the drive-through or off sale. No consumption on premises would be the rule until lifted by the council by another action. The ordinance under as drafted is effective for 60 days. That's the extent you can do an emergency ordinance. The other thing is the city or cities are authorized to adopt emergency ordinances under state statute that requires 2 readings. However, section 4.12, I believe, of our home rule charter indicates that the city has the authority to adopt emergency ordinances that are effective immediately upon passage, that can be done in 1 reading if it's necessary for the immediate preservation of public peace, health, safety, and welfare of the city. Which I guess I interpret this type of ordinance to be of that nature. So we're a bit unique in that our charter allows us to do that in 1 reading versus the typical 2 readings and publish. So most cities that are facing this have had a first reading, responded with some have altered from going from, I don't like to call it the nuclear approach, but just the strict closure to the Sioux Falls approach of 10 patrons. And I don't know if that's based on public reaction at their meetings, but there's been some back and forth that way. Entities that are not impacted by this are daycares. We also talked earlier today about churches. They're not specifically addressed in here. My understanding has been that the all the local churches have already implemented their own policies to arrange for worship services via Facebook Live or Zoom or whatever social platform they've determined will work best for them. And I know that's true at least at the Catholic Church, the Methodist, Emmanuel, the UCC Church. I don't know about the Set Free. I think someone said they've got things pretty well buttoned up there with respect to their food giveaway today. It was very tightly monitored. I can't remember the name of the church over a block north of the swimming pool. That's changed names now, but
Mennonite?
I think some of the Mennonites that moved from Wisconsin over to the area are operating out of there. I don't know what they've chosen to do there. So I think Brooklyn maybe also went to just an online presence for their worship services. So this is, I'm sure, not perfect, and there's going to be someone that won't like certain portions of it, but it's very similar to what's been adopted in other communities. And you know, the grocery store obviously is accepted from this, except for their deli would not be allowed to have on-site consumption. It would just be to go, which I think they've already implemented as well.
Last week.
The hardware and supply stores exempted, healthcare facilities, the nursing homes, those types of places. So,
What about the auto parts places?
this is not I mean, this is only really designed for,
Food and alcohol?
yeah, public accommodation type places, I would call them.
So can we assume that if they are not specifically listed in here, they would fall under the exemption? That they're
If they're not prohibited, there's no regulation on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess hardware and supply, so supply would be.
Lumberyard.
Lumberyards.
Well, and I think,
Grocery store, dollar store.
I mean, the prohibition is for, I mean, they're pretty specific about, I don't think under 2, 3, or 4, you're ever gonna hit the hardware stores or those types of things.
This is specifically set for on-site food and alcohol.
Where people are gathering in a social setting, basically, it's the types of, I mean, recreational facilities, is that social? I don't know. It does include the fitness center, as drafted.
I got one question. There's 2 fitness centers in there, one on 13th, and then there's one down here on 46th, and clinic on 3rd and 46th. She's got a,
physical.
They would not be, they would be required to close as the ordinance is drafted.
like
Not
down
physical
here.
though, right?
Hmm?
Not the physical one down here. That's a
Well,
treatment facility.
If it's treatment.
The treatment part, but I think she's got an actual gym for seniors.
Yeah, you can buy a membership and go in there around the clock.
I think you gotta be a senior, don't you?
Well, yeah, whatever she has. See, they talked to me, I know I'm 65, but they talked to me about it.
So that would have to close.
What about John?
Well-
Well, this doesn't have anything to do with, nothing to do with other retail.
Well, can we go talk to her before we tell her to shut it down? Because I'm not sure how many people go in there. Or how she's got it labeled. If she's gonna say just for therapy of choice, and that's fine with me, but.
Well, this covers healthcare
Yeah.
facilities.
But she's doing it as a part of a healthcare regimen for someone, that's one thing.
Right. Right.
But then she's billing their insurance, so that's different.
Right.
That's,
But she,
if they're paying a membership, they can come and go without her direct supervision, and
she'd have to cut that.
Medicare supplemental, I know that pays some people's membership out at Ultimate Fitness.
Is anybody
But
on
it's still
Becky's
open.
Drive Gymnastics?
What's the court we referring
it
to?
would not apply.
The physical health care on the corner of 46th and 3rd.
I thought so, but I couldn't quite catch it.
So this does not apply to karate and dance?
Well,
I think it would, I think they're in indoor recreational facilities.
They fall under number 4.
Number 3.
Athletic facilities.
Definitely.
So this would prohibit the school of starting any activities without us looking at this ordinance.
I think so.
But they're aware then that this ordinance would affect them if they wanted to gear up before we did. They want to start track practice, but we haven't lifted the ordinance, they would not be allowed to.
If it's indoor recreational facility, athletic facilities. But I guess that's just straight athletic facilities. That's correct.
But if they're out running outside, that wouldn't affect it as far as training outside, correct?
Well, the athletic facilities
Well, they're not,
typically
they're
would be
not.
considered for bleachers.
Right.
You can't hold a public event at the
Right.
track. Now, if they're
They're not
practicing
going to,
outdoors.
they're close to
Right.
it.
Right. I just,
We also have
No,
Legends
it's
of
a good
Gold
question.
out there.
What's that?
There's Legends of Gold outside of town.
that's within a mile. It's gonna affect them too.
I
It's
know
will
that
affect them.
they have gone, Terry Pass said last night, they've split into groups of 9 or less, but that's still,
You're talking about close hand-to-hand
Yep.
contact, not 6 feet of social distancing.
I think it might be a good idea, have a first reading today and maybe try to do something in the next week or two, or you think it's best just to pass it and they will tell them.
It's hard to know exactly who all to call, 'cause, I mean, as your collective discussion shows, there's a lot of people impacted, whether directly or indirectly.
They're gonna start over there, and then Gold's gonna probably line up within the school. I'd rather have a clarification before we pass it.
Well, the school, it's not gonna affect the school.
It's not gonna affect the school.
They've
They're,
already
they're,
shut down. But if we pass this ordinance as written, he's outside of city limits,
but you've got jurisdiction 1 mile outside.
and that's our choice to enforce that? Or we have to enforce within 1 mile?
No, you don't have to. You can't, you may.
Yeah, but what happens if we come up with a scenario, we don't enforce him, and then somebody gets sick and say, well, you enforced everything else but them?
But they're in the county, they're not in the city. We don't have jurisdiction.
We're not.
But you do have jurisdiction.
But I mean, we don't, they don't fall under the guidance of this ordinance if we pass it,
I think they do.
if we force the
We'd be
issue.
obligated.
But we're not forcing the issue in my bar, they've already closed.
No, I don't, but I did advise them that I felt as the ordinance was drafted, it would impact them.
But who decides on enforcing that outside the city limits?
I don't
Back to
think,
the council again,
well,
specifically each case?
I don't think you wanna do that. I mean, I think you either do or you don't.
Yeah.
I
I don't
mean,
think we could pick and choose.
Honestly, I think we have to decide that we're gonna stay within our city limits or we're going to automatically expand it to 1 mile, right?
well, your jurisdiction is 1 mile.
So if we do nothing, it's already 1 mile.
I think it's, yeah.
We don't need to specifically say we're gonna do something that we already have the authority to do.
The other one that possibly is impacted, that I have not talked to, I don't know if anyone else, but the convenience store out of Trucktown, because they do have, not been there for a long time, but they do have a few tables for people to eat at, those would not be permitted, and the casino would not be permitted out there. They got a trucker's den and a,
So to be clear, if we pass this ordinance, it automatically expands to within 1 mile of city limits.
it's sort of, yes.
No,
It actually references the statute, which is 929-1, which is the 1 mile extraterritorial jurisdiction.
So what exactly does the statute say? It's a,
So the city has police powers within its municipal boundaries and 1 mile.
that's police power.
Well, general police powers, this is general police power of the city.
yeah,
Don't think of police as in law enforcement.
But policing,
General police powers means your power to regulate activity. Enforce your
rules,
rules.
laws, and ordinances.
Out at Legends of Gold, would the dormitories fall under the exempt part? Like under C, or is that, sorry, 6?
Those are actually living quarters. though.
That's what I mean, like, would those be exempt, and would we be talking about just his wrestling rooms and community rooms?
work on
I
it.
think that's, I mean, I don't think the residential portion would be impacted.
Yeah, this doesn't affect our residents. What if you had 8 kids?
Did anybody talk to him?
But I just wanted to make
I
sure
have-
that we aren't gonna all of a sudden shut down his facility and tell you, well, your kid's gotta go home. But if they're in the dormitory, then that's fine.
I just want clarification. Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
How do you define congregate care facility? Is that actual healthcare? Is that?
That'd be nursing homes or assisted living, I don't,
Residential care facility would be a nursing home. What is a congregate care facility?
I guess I'm not sure what the legal definition of congregate is.
Definition
If-
of congregate.
If adopted,
Facility that includes those organizations which provide temporary or long-term, full-time residential care. So it'd be the same as a residential care facility.
So I think that would be carried.
Well, such as child caring institutions, emergency shelters, group homes, and organizations with supervised individual living facilities.
so that would,
I would say this would fall underneath that supervised,
The living portion.
we can
the
interpret
living portion.
that as the dormitories.
But the athletic facility would be all the training facilities out there.
Correct.
This would close them.
I just got one question. Clarify. Okay, say we pass this hypothetically, and now somebody disobeys us, and says, well, good, what we want to do. Now, are we liable, or do we have to enforce what we pass? That's my concern. Because if we let one go, and the next one's gonna say, how come you do nothing to them? I'm gonna do it. So who's the liability fall on if we pass it? Us, the liability, or them?
Potentially, I mean, you've got an ordinance that just blatantly disregard.
Do we get any help from the state or from the feds or from anybody? I know.
The help you've gotten from the state thus far that both cities have said is, thank you for the guidance that says what we should do. Now, we have to go do what you're telling people they should do
So we're gonna
voluntarily.
send church out there or write a ticket or?
I think that if the council adopts the ordinance, my understanding would be that our city would enforce, just like we enforce every other ordinance that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the police would, I mean, obviously they're your eyes on the street every day.
So in theory, I mean,
But if you drove out, for example, to Legend of Gold and there's 50 cars out there at the wrestling room, you're gonna have a pretty good suspicion that
right.
there's some activity going on there that's,
So when we reached out to all these other businesses and stuff, were they on the list?
I did not, I don't know that anyone's talked to Terry.
I think, I mean, I get this is an extraordinary measure we're taking. And I'm assuming there's never been anything like this in Beresford before.
True.
I think in this particular case, that we should maybe take a recess and talk to Terry Pat quick.
Well, does anybody have that guy's contact? I have Strive's contact and try and contact her. But, I mean, if we haven't contacted these youth recreational places, I definitely feel they need to be notified before we make a motion to close it down.
At least try to notify them.
Well, I guess I don't even necessarily think that, because they've got to realize that that would fall under the CDC's guideline to not have.
But I'm pretty sure they had something, a parent on Facebook post that they gotta step up in a belt or whatever, and that was after the school had closed.
But I guess where I was getting at is, Legends of Gold is out in the county too. It's not even in the city. And I'm sure if Terry knew about this, he probably dismissed it because they're not in the city. Or had heard about it.
Didn't realize the ordinance expands
Jurisdiction.
South Dakota
I
law
mean,
expands our
the
jurisdiction.
gymnastics and the taekwondo, I mean, that, I don't think there's gonna be a shock that this would come to those, because they shouldn't be
Gonna
doing
be a
those.
shock is the 60 days.
What's that?
What's gonna be the shock is the 60 days.
Unless the council can repeal it.
Yeah,
we can repeal it.
It doesn't, but I think that they need to be contacted, I agree. If we need to take a recess and try to make contact with them. I don't know their phone number, there's a phone number.
I have
over
Terry's
here.
number if you need it.
There's a phone number over
You're
here.
just going to recess without motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
my My concern about Legends of Gold is the number of groups that continue to come. I don't know if they are continuing, but you know, there's groups from Beresford, there's groups from Sioux Falls, all over the place. So they're coming into town and bringing that chance of whatever. And if we can control that in any way, I think that we need to take a good look at that.
You got a good point.
I've also heard, I don't know, and this again, maybe it's a good time to maybe see if Terry can run in here, but I think they're planning a 2 or 3 week long tournament here in the next couple weeks.
Intensive training thing, making camps.
They're doing some sort of a big tournament next April 12th, 18th, and 25th maybe. Is that call?
These people, if I can talk earlier real quick.
Who's talking?
These people are not just from South Dakota. These people are, you know, they're out of state kids that are staying out of the school.
No, we're talking about people coming in maybe for a tournament.
Correct. Well, that too. I mean, the people that stay out there are not all in-state kids. These are out-of-state kids too.
Right.
Parents are paying for them to stay in that facility. Yeah, I just thought I'd let you know that it's just not in-state kids. You know, so if they're forced to shut down, then kids would more likely be sent back to the state where they reside.
I think the discussion right now is not the residential youth that are out there, but the activities specifically.
But if we shut their activities down, what's the point in having the kids out there?
I think they're enrolled in school.
Are they?
They come here for school though.
So they're enrolled in
So
school.
they're gonna have to come back on May 1st. They go to school in our buildings here.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, they've lived there, but my understanding, they are actively involved in everything here in town.
I know that when districts and the region wrestling tournament, the state tournament got shut down. Terry Pack was trying to launch something, host that tournament out, let it hold, and he's gonna do everything in his power to keep the wrestling program running. I mean, it was flopped. I mean, no one bid on it, but I know he was trying to get that done. So that's all I have on that.
Okay.
They have to stay right.
People, is the consensus to make some phone calls quick?
Yep.
All right. Consensus.
Who wants to call Terry later?
John?
Okay.
Recording.
I left my phone on my